Now, we've all heard the expression to go down a rabbit hole. Of course, it comes from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland stories. And it seems to be used quite a lot on BookTube. And I wonder if we use it correctly. I kind of wanted to check on the meaning, and it seems to be really a metaphor for being transported to a wonderful or troubling, surreal state or situation, whereas I think we tend to use it quite a lot to mean going off on a tangent, but doesn't matter because I've got a tag for you today. Hello everyone, welcome to and welcome back to my channel Book Time with Elvis with me, Mark. I hope very much you're all doing well. The hair's under a bit of control today because it's pouring rain and it's wet, so it's kind of staying down for now, but of course when it dries it's going to go boom. I'm sure you all appreciated the hair update. So yes, without further ado, I do have a tag. It's been a while since I've made an original tag, and I think it's original, and you know, it could actually be almost kind of a little bit of a lazy tag because there's only one prompt. However, I've decided on this channel to start a new series, and to celebrate that series I thought I'd kick it off with a tag, and what I'd very much like to do is to have the tag go around, and I'd like people to use a hashtag so all the videos can be collected in one place. And the series I'm going to do is called Beyond the Rabbit Hole, or Tales from Beyond the Rabbit Hole. And what I thought would be nice is if the people tagged and anybody else who's watching it and fancies doing it makes a video and talks about a particular experience they had or experiences they have had, the most interesting experiences they've had with regards to going down a rabbit hole through stuff they've read. Now, I keep a note of a lot of that stuff. I'm fascinated by all these kind of connections in the literary world, and you know, you read something and you then go and look up more information about it, and it sends you off on a kind of expedition through Wikipedia or encyclopedias or other works and whatnot. And as I say, to me, this is fascinating. I thought I would start off with one as a celebration, if you like, of today being International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to all you wonderful women out there. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of the author W. Jacobs. He is or was well known as the author of short stories, particularly The Grey Rabbit and The Monkey's Paw, or The Monkey Paw. And, you know, I was reading a book not that long ago called Wicked Boy by Kate Summerscale. And she got off to talking about the suffragette movement. And because there was a court case in this book, and the presiding judge had actually been involved with sending down some early suffragettes, and one of them was the wife of W. Jacobs, the author. And she was arrested for breaking some windows, so she was arrested for damage to public property, and I believe she was given the choice of paying the fine or going to prison, and she chose to go to prison. I can't remember exactly for how long she went, but I thought that was fascinating. And then of course I got interested more and more into the life of W. Jacobs. I feel like saying www.jacobs.com, yeah. W. Jacobs, his life and things like that. So, you know, I found out that he was actually involved in a mock trial, and you know, I love these connections, you know, how things link in together. I was reading a book about Montague Rose James, where they were talking about his fascination with Charles Dickens's unfinished work about Edwin Drood. And obviously Jacobs was also interested in it because he became part of a mock trial for a fictitious character that a particular set of people believed were responsible for the murder of Edwin Drood. And as I said, Jacobs was part of that trial. He was a member of the jury for that. And, you know, just to make it even more interesting, was the foreman of the jury was George Bernard Shaw, and the judge in that particular instance was G.K. Chesterton. So, you know, there you go. It's all kind of wonderful things. And another thing I came across and sent me down a rabbit hole was today, actually, this morning. I thought I would try and read something for the Welsh reading event Dawathon, right? And I said to myself, well, I'm going to read something by Arthur Machen, a Welsh author, well-known author of kind of weird occultist mystery stuff. And so I thought I'll read a short story, and I came across one called The Bowman, which you may or may not know. And it was written in 1914. And the funny thing is, it has an alternate title called The Angels of Mons. Now, I've heard of the Angels of Mons. Maybe you've heard of them as well, but I had no idea of their connection to Arthur Machen. And the thing is, he wrote this book called The Bowman, which later, in some cases, was retitled The Angels of Mons. And he was inspired because towards the end of 1914, there was a disastrous engagement between the British and the Germans. And, the British avoided being annihilated by German forces. And he came up with the story that there were these kind of, there was this kind of phantom English or Welsh, technically, bowmen from the 100 Years' War from Agincourt, who came to the rescue of these British soldiers, right? And this became so, I don't know, people just seized on this, and they wanted to believe it. They wanted to believe it so much. And there were other accounts of mysterious lights and things like that, and mists with lights in the middle that had kind of enveloped and protected the English as they retreated from an onslaught of German or Prussian infantry. And it just fascinated me because, as I said, I'd heard of the Angel of Mons. This is a well-known thing in the UK, and yet I had no idea that it was strongly linked to this particular short story, to the point where Machen himself had to go on record and say that he had made the whole thing up. He believed, of course, it was obvious that he had, but as I said, because of probably the situation and the whole country being geared up for war, people really, really wanted to believe in it. And then there were kind of other reports that supported the fact it might have happened. There were people who said there were Prussian soldiers found dead in the battlefield with arrows sticking out of them and all this kind of stuff. So it was, I don't know, it's just fascinating. And I think another example of one of these rabbit holes that one gets sent down from quite often, actually, in my case. So I'm hoping it's the same for a lot of you as well. And as I say, so I'm going to try and do a series at least every week where I can talk about some of these really wonderful and interesting journeys through these rabbit holes and some of these fantastic connections that I find during the course of my reading. I do, as I say, have many of them on record, so I'm good to get started with that. And that's all I want you to do, is to tell me or tell us, if you can, about some things that absolutely fascinated you when you were pulled down a rabbit hole due to something you were reading, something you didn't know before. It doesn't matter if everybody else knows it. It's something that, really captivated you, and took you out of your reading for a minute and sent you off on another path to find out more. And I'm sure that must have happened to everybody. We're all guilty of that. We're all guilty of, like, well, I don't know if there's anything to be guilty about, but we all kind of surf through Wikipedia, clicking the links and going from one thing to the other and finding out all sorts of wonderful stuff. And that's why I want to know about your tales from beyond the rabbit hole. And I think it would be really nice if this can be found across the board. So I'm going to put a hashtag in here. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be yet. I'll decide once I post the video. Probably be something like, rabbit hole 23 or Tales from the Rabbit Hole or Rabbit Hole Booktube. But keep an eye out for the description and add that to your video. that's it. That's the one and only prompt, apart from perhaps also tagging people as well. So the people I'm going to tag, it's not a massive list because I do want, people to go around tagging other people and things like that. If I've left you off, I do apologise. I'm going to go with Sean D. Stanfast, Steve Donahue, Roz from Scally Dangling About the Books, Carrie from Very Literary Carrie, Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading. Who else? Michael K. Vaughan. Ollie from Criminoli, Elizabeth from Bookings and Books, Dia from Novel Idea, Sarah Kalsbeek, Vin from Revenant Reads, Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, and last but not least, Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics. Tell us about your experiences going down literary or otherwise rabbit holes. Thank you very much. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.